Oh, training cats and dogs tonight. Oh, welcome to the theater, pal. Your fellow neighborhood master of chaos back with you once again. Come on in, grab a seat, and get warm, get dry. Another dark and stormy night here outside of the movie house. And, well, since you're here, why don't we talk about another Hammer horror film as we continue our Halloween Hammer horror series here on Master of Chaos Theater. Let's talk about ancient mythology. Let's talk about Clash of the Titans meets England. What am I talking about exactly? What do I mean when I say those things? Well, I'm talking about a very unique entry in the Hammer horror cycle, which features both Peter Cushing, Christopher Lee, and kind of Medusa. She's got a different name. The name is Megara, the sister of Medusa, and she can be found in the Gorgon, which can be found on this Hammer film set, the 20 film set from Millcreek. Now, I bought this a year ago. I haven't had a chance to dig into it because, Jesus Christ, 20 films, how daunting is that? One of the reasons I wanted to do the Hammer horror series here for Master Chaos Theater during this Halloween season, because I finally wanted to watch some of the films on here. Look at this. I love this cover. Isn't that nice? I like that very much. That's very, very cool. The Gorgon features, like I said, Peter Cushing, Christopher Lee, and Medusa's sister Megara as, of course, the titular Gorgon. What the hell is a Gorgon doing in England? Let's find out. The film begins with a young painter finding out that his lover is pregnant and him rushing off to talk to her father and sort of take responsibility for the pregnancy and sort of man up and say, don't worry, I'll marry her and all that good stuff. She races off after him through the woods, and she stops, sees something off camera, screams, and the next we hear from her, she is dead. Now, the boyfriend, the painter, is a suspect. He has disappeared, and I gotta be honest, there's a lot of connective tissue missing from that storyline. I don't know what happened. Did he go talk to the dad and then go missing? It's very unclear, but it doesn't matter because they're not really our characters whatsoever. They are the catalyst to the story. The young woman is found dead and she has been turned to stone. Now, there is a legend among these parts of a Gorgon, Megara the Gorgon, Medusa's sister, who somehow found her way to England and is hiding out there. And this kind of further proves that there might be something supernatural afoot. Now, the painter's father knows that his son is innocent and could not have done this. And when the son is found hanged by his own hand, presumably, the case is closed. Of course, the father thinks that there's something more to it, and he starts to investigate. But don't worry, the father isn't even our main character. The father runs afoul of Megara, and we finally see her, and she looks exactly like Medusa. She's got the snake hair and everything. She's exactly Medusa. She's a pretty creepy character. She's kept in the shadows for most of it until the end. The father then turns to stone, but before he turns to stone, he writes a letter to his son, who is a doctor, and asks him to come and help solve the case. The doctor arrives, finds his father dead, turned to stone. He has this letter which points the way towards the Megara curse, or the Megara monster, the Megara Gorgon, and then things finally get going when we have our main character. Now, Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee are in this. Peter plays a bigger part as the town's doctor, who is trying to keep things secret. He's trying to sort of keep things under wraps, so we're not exactly sure why. He has a beautiful lab assistant who is loyal to Peter Cushing, but is also falling in love with the new young doctor, who has come to solve the murder of his father and the suicide of his brother. Now, Christopher Lee plays a smaller part. He plays that young doctor's mentor. There's always that in Hammer movies. There's the young doctor, then the older mentor. Like we've seen that in Plague of the Zombies and countless times. Christopher Lee comes in closer towards the middle of the second act, third act here to help the young doctor solve the case, and he sort of takes the reins. But he's not necessarily intrinsic to the plot or helps push it along, which is fine. He's definitely almost token casting at this point. But he does sort of saved the day in the end. I'm not going to go into details. I'm not going to really give anything away. As the plot develops, there's some twists and turns. Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee are antagonists in this movie, which is interesting. Not necessarily in the same vein as Van Helsing and Dracula, but they have some static together, and it's nice to see them on screen in any kind of capacity. You know that they're old friends, and it's nice to see them working together in any kind of capacity, especially when the plot has them at odds. But sort of colleagues, it's strange. There's a weird gray area when it comes to their performances and how they play off each other. Ultimately, The Gorgon is a really, really satisfying, gothic, very moody film. Moody in terms of a tone. It definitely sets a really eerie, creepy vibe, and it definitely gets you in that Halloween mood. It's a very cozy feeling movie, and it never really drags. Sometimes Hammer movies drag a bit, sort of in the middle. There is a little soft meat here and there, but it doesn't necessarily get dull, in my opinion anyway. This one, I feel, trucks along quite successfully and keeps giving you little morsels of information, little bits and pieces of action that move the story along and then devolve into a denouement that is a little bit confusing and doesn't necessarily make a lot of sense. I'm not going to go into details, so I don't want to spoil it for you. I don't really know how it connects and how it really tracks with the logic that we've been handed so far. But it's fine. You know, it's a supernatural monster movie about a fucking mythological creature lost in England. So you kind of have to cut the movie a little bit of slack. If you do that, I think you'll enjoy the ride. 3 stars. I'm going to go with 3 stars for The Gorgon. It loses a star for nonsense. Even though I cut it slack in the plot, it loses me a little bit. And I don't necessarily think it's rewatchable, and I think that's why it loses another star, because I don't know that I'm going to be revisiting The Gorgon unless down the road I forget about it, and that might be the case. I'm pretty sure I have seen The Gorgon in the past. Actually, I'm 100% sure I've seen The Gorgon in the past, but I remembered none of it. And I think that's my problem with Hammer Horror. For some reason in my mind, they just don't stick. They don't stick to your ribs like a good thick oatmeal. To me, they're very ephemeral. They almost run together, and I think maybe that's a failing on me. 100%. That's probably a failing on me. And while I do enjoy Hammer movies, they don't necessarily stick in my mind. And I don't think The Gorgon will. And I certainly will probably rewatch it down the line, having forgotten what the hell it is about. But I've got this review to prove that I have seen it, so that's good. It's nowhere near Clash of the Titans good when it comes to the Medusa, the Gorgon type character. It's a little janky looking, a little Halloween store aesthetic, if you will. Overall, it's a very enjoyable movie, and I think you guys are going to have a really solid time with The Gorgon. Boy, these Hammer Horror movies are perfect for these dark and stormy nights here at Master Chaos Theater. I hope you're enjoying these reviews. I'm enjoying bringing these to you. Expect more in the coming days here as we continue with October 2021 and our Hammer Halloween special. My friend, it's time to close the theater down. Thank you so much for joining me. If this is the first time we meet, do subscribe. If you do, we get to do this again and talk movies. Have you seen The Gorgon? Do you like Hammer films? Are you unfamiliar with Hammer films? Let me know in the comments down below. That really means the world to me. I love responding to comments. I respond to every comment I get. That's how we build a friendship and we build trust together by, having not only a mutual love of film, but having just a lovely discussion about opposing viewpoints or similar viewpoints. My friend, thank you so much for joining me. Leave me a thumbs up on your way out the door. It's time for me to grab the curtain and pull it across the silver screen. I know it's raining out there, so make sure you have your umbrella. And I'll see ya next time, because the theater is closed for now.